Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you a great tool for calculating your crypto position sizes, and we can deal in multiple cryptocurrencies, whichever you're using. This tool is available on safetrade.binaryoptions.com. Go to the analytics section, click on position size calculator. That will give you two different calculators. This first one is for if you're trading stocks, Forex, CFDs. This crypto calculator is if you are looking specifically at trading crypto and exchanging either fiat for crypto or moving from one cryptocurrency to another. The first step in this is important. We're going to choose, the whole point of this, the top section, is to figure out our account size. Now you may just know this right off the top of your head that you have approximately $10,000 worth of Bitcoin in your account. You may know you have 10,000 Tether sitting there that you can use for trades, or that you maybe want to sell, get rid of some Bitcoin, so you have some Bitcoin that you're willing to exchange for others. So you may know your account size. But what this up here determines is what you want your trades denominated in. So I usually like to think of it in Tether because it's just US dollars. It's easy for me to get my head around. But if you prefer thinking in Ethereum, maybe that's kind of your base of your trading account, then you would choose Ethereum. And notice when we change this up here, it changes the account size, or the currency that our account is denominated in, and it also changes these values over here. It changes them to ETH, whereas if we go back to Bitcoin, it changes this to Bitcoin or Tether. Now what we can also do is put in, if you know that you have roughly $10,000 worth of various things, we can put that in. Then it'll give us the amount that we have in Tether. So that pretty much, Tether is basically $1 US, so that pretty much equates to 10,000 Tether. But if we have 10,000 in Bitcoin, then we have 0.3 Bitcoin. So now if you wanted to denominate your account in Bitcoin, or have everything for this calculator priced in Bitcoin, then you would need to put in your Bitcoin account size. So that's what this is here. Then we can set up our trade however we want. So I'm going to go back to Bitcoin because it's what I'm most familiar with. I have 10,000 Tether sitting in that account ready to be deployed. Remember, we need to, every time we change the currency, make sure that we have the right currency for that. So 9,996, that's pretty close to 10,000 by mine. So to keep the numbers easy, we are going to use this. So 10,000 Tether. Let's say I have that sitting in my account ready to be deployed on a trade. Now I can put in whatever trade level I want. So up here I can still see the Bitcoin price is 23,000. Let's say I wanted to buy Bitcoin near 23,000. So I put in 23,000 here, and maybe I wanted to trade Ethereum. We can see what the Ethereum price is by changing this. So Ethereum, trading around 1,600. Maybe I wanted to buy Ethereum at 1,600. I could do that as well. Give these a bit of time to update and adjust when you put in new data. But you could put in whatever entry price you want. So I'm going to go back to Bitcoin. And the entry point is where I want to get in. The stop loss is where I'm going to get out if that trade isn't doing what I expect it to. That's where I'm going to cut my loss. Risk size is the amount I'm willing to lose on that trade. So you can put that in crypto or a percentage. If you put in the dollar amount, it'll show you how much percent of the entire account you're risking on that trade. Or if you flip it to risk and you put in 1% there, it'll show you how many dollars you would potentially be losing on that trade. Professional traders are usually risking less than 2% of their account per trade. You might want to risk a little bit more than that if you have a smaller account, but really the idea of the position sizing is to keep our risk controlled so that no one single trade really hurts our account if we lose on it. Losing trades do happen. So I'm going to keep this at 1% just to keep it simple. And let's go over what these numbers mean over here. This is the risk, as we discussed. It's 1% of my account. Basically, this is saying if you're only willing to risk 1% of your account, you can only lose $100 on this trade. How are you going to do that? You're going to do that by position size. We know that if Bitcoin is trading at $23,000, if I bought one whole Bitcoin and it dropped to 22,000, how much would I be losing? $1,000, right? Because I got in at 23,000, I own that whole Bitcoin, it dropped to 22, I lost $1,000. So how do I bring my risk down to 100? Well, we can only buy a tenth of a Bitcoin. So we're going to buy $2,300 worth, or 2,300 Tether worth of Bitcoin, because Tether is what I've priced in. If you had selected Ethereum, it would tell you how many Ethereum you would have to spend, how many of these other ones, Binance USD, Solana, you would have to spend to buy that currency or to buy your position in Bitcoin. Since we're using Tether, it says you're going to have to spend 2,300 Tether and your position size is going to be 0.1 Bitcoin. That's going to allow us to risk $100. Next, let's look at the target price. A target price is where you get out of a profitable trade where you actually want to lock in your profit. Here's where you can also choose whether you're going long or short. We have it set on default to a long position because most people are buying these assets, but you could also take a short position. In that case, your stop loss would need to be above your entry, otherwise you're going to get an error like we'd get here. Stop loss must be greater than entry. And then once we plug in our target price, remember I said I was going to buy this at 23,000 and I was going to sell at 25,000. You could put in whatever you wanted here, 26,000. And you'll see here what your percentage profit is. You could also put in a percentage here, such as 10%. If you flip this, put in, say I want to take profit at 10%, then it would show you the target price that you would be selling at. And we have lots of decimal points in here just because, let's say you denominated your account in Bitcoin and you have a small account. You might only be making 0.0001% or 0.0001 Bitcoin on a trade, let's say. But when we're using something like the US dollar Tether, it ends up looking like lots of decimal places. So this would actually be just rounded up to $2,500 and your profit would be $200. This first number, your return, if you sell the position, this is your total amount that you put into the trade plus profit. So we put in 2,300. If we sold this position at 25,000, we would have $2,500. That makes sense because we have 0.1 Bitcoin, 10% or 0.1 of 25,000, where our target is 2,500. So that's how much we would receive back. Our actual profit on that would be $200. We put in 23 and we're getting out 25. So that leaves a profit of $200. That's the basic calculator. Really good for standard positions where you're entering at one price and exiting at another. But let's say you wanted to have multiple profit targets. Then we can calculate the profit over various exit points. So that's going to pop up another box down here. So we'd already put in one target up here. So this is separate. We're going to put in, we can run some different scenarios. So I am going to keep my original profit target at 25,000. Now let's say I want to exit half of my position at that amount. Then in the next box I can put another target. Let's say I want to get out at 27,000 and that's going to be the rest of the position. So this is a percentage allocation. If you wanted to get out of 1/3 of the position, you would put in 33. If you wanted to get out of 1/5 of the position, you would put 20. If you want to get out of the entire position, you would put 100. So 50% out at 25. That essentially means we're going to be getting rid of 0.05 Bitcoin at that price, and then 0.05 Bitcoin at this price. And then you can see what your profit adds up to. We have two numbers here, the total return and the profit. This first number that we have here would be your total profit if you sold at the position at this price, if you sold the entire position. This is your actual locked-in profit. And we saw before when we sold at 25,000, if we sold the entire position, we received a profit of 200, but we're only selling half of our position, so we've only locked in a gain so far of $100. Then if we sold the rest at 27,000, that would equate to a $200 profit. If we sold the entire amount, all 100% of our position, or 0.1 Bitcoin, at this we would receive $2,700. We can see our profits added up at the bottom here. So the way we have this set up, by selling half at 25, half at 27,000, we end up with a $300 profit. If we had sold everything at 27,000, if we go back here, we originally put in 23, we sold at 27, we would have had a $400 profit. So that's why we left it this way, so that you can compare how much you made by scaling out this amount versus how much you would have made if you got out everything at that specific price target. You can put in as many price targets as you want, and you can keep adding more if you wanted to get out at 4, 5, 6. Maybe you have a really long-term trade going and you want to get out a little bit as the price goes up. Now, the next thing we can do is leverage. When we select leverage, it's going to keep everything the same, but it's going to magnify things by however much leverage we put in here. So let's say we wanted to magnify our profit by 5. What would that do to our trade? So remember, we were on our original trade, we were going to risk $100. If we just magnified everything by 5 and we took 5 times as much position size, now all of a sudden our risk, which was originally 100, is going to go up to 500. We were originally going to make a $200 profit. Now we're going to make a $1,000 profit. There's just one problem with this. Of course, we can make more, but we're also risking more. And we originally said that we only wanted to risk $100 of our account, or 1% of our 10,000 Tether, or however much we have in the account. So now we're all of a sudden risking 5 times as much if we just take this trade as is and multiply our position size by 5. But let's say we want to keep our original $100 risk, but we wanted to increase our position size by 5. This tells us exactly what we would have to do in order for that to happen. These numbers up here. So in order to get our trade back to $100 of risk, we would need to put our stop loss at 22,800 instead of the 22,000 we have it at. So something has to give, right? We're increasing our position size, but we don't want to increase the dollar amount that we could lose. We're going to have to reduce that stop loss. We're going to have to move it closer to our entry point. And that's what these numbers down here mean. If we did that, we could take 5 times, this could be 0.5 of a Bitcoin. We still enter at 23,000, but instead of getting out at 22,000, we would have to get out at 22,800. If we did that, we would only lose $100. That was what we originally wanted to risk. The beauty of this is that you can still keep your original profit targets and you can make this bigger amount. So if you take that trade at 23,000, you put your stop loss at 22,800, risk is controlled to $100, but if you get out at 25,000, you've made 1,000, right? You've multiplied all of these by 5. So that's the beauty of leverage and how you can use this tool to potentially magnify your returns while still controlling your risk. I recommend that you go through this tool with several different, whatever coins you tend to use the most. I would select them, go through this tool using them just to get used to how it works. There are pop-ups on each of these metrics that you're putting in, which give you a little explanation. If you ever get stuck, you can always watch this video again as well. So these little pop-ups give you more information. You also have explanations throughout telling you what these mean. And then at the bottom, you also have a written out description of everything that you are putting into this calculator. So your account size, your entry, what these all mean, why they're useful. You also have another example at the bottom. So this is an excellent tool. I suggest that you, whenever you're doing a crypto trade, that you come plug it into the calculator to make sure that you are taking the right position size so that your risk is controlled. Head to safetradeBinaryOptions.com, analytics, position sizing calculator, and use that crypto calculator.